Welcome
to the J&O Show,
where we talk about
what percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them.
I cannot think of a percentage right now to give you.
25%. So only 1 out of 4 black.
Dang, man. That's really bad.
I just wanted y'all to let that sink in.
Sounds terrible. I hate it.
Bruh.
Did you hear this stat?
It was terrible.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad.
That's crazy.
25%. Wow. And we wondering why we having the issues we having in the dating market.
So only 1 out of 4 blacks in America have a mom and a dad around. Do you think that is a bigger issue to address than racism? Do you think more dads is a better solution?
How could dads be connected directly? Like, how?
Oh, dads are very connected.
What about? Okay.
When you have a dad around, you're less likely to be violent as a male, less likely to go to prison.
Explain to me why all the fathers are leaving.
Exactly. Why are they leaving?
Question for you.
Because black women married the government, divorced the men that they were once with.
Ouch.
Did y'all hear that? My coworker and I, we have a running joke where we talk about like our jobs. We need to get off this economic wick. Our jobs, basically.
Bruh.
No, but he said black women have divorced their husbands or their black men basically and married the government. Do you know how true that is, unfortunately, for us? For us, our melanated folk. I know of quite a few individuals in our community who have given up on the idea of getting married. And they're like, you know what? I'm just going to go do it on my own. That's sad because it's not for a lack of wanting to have family, but being able to find it is an issue. And then it's like, okay, well, why is it so hard to find it? And it's because of the conditioning. But we did a video not too long ago. We were talking about how mainstream media, basically, they push certain narratives and they make it seem as though black men don't like black women and vice versa. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay. It is out there. There are some that don't like each other, basically black men that don't like black women and vice versa. But it's not the majority.
Nope. Not even close.
But because that's what you hear all of the time, you tend to think that that's like most people. And it's not. Nope. It's not the case. We have to work on ourselves. Yep. I grew up in a broken home. My father was not in the picture for many, 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 many years. Okay. My father was only reintroduced into my life within the past 12 years, but I grew up basically without my biological father in the home. So I understand and know what that looks like when you are missing that father piece. Like it does something to you when you don't have that in the home. And we speak about it all the time, like how it affects women and how it affects men. For boy children, I think it's even more detrimental when they don't see the dad in the home because they don't see themselves basically in how they are supposed to move and how they're supposed to act and what they're supposed to do as they grow up. They don't have that example, that role model. Whereas for women, a lot of times we're like, oh, well, I don't understand why these men can't level up or why they can't do this and why they can't do that. And, you know, we seem to be out there killing it because most of the time it's single moms. Yes, you do have single dads, but for the most of the time it's single moms. So if you're a woman, if you're a girl child, you have that woman figure to see. You see your mom killing it. You see her working 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet, to take care of you and your siblings and this, that, and the third. So it's different. It looks different for you because you've had that example your whole life to be able to look at. But then there's the flip side of that where you don't have your dad in the home. So it's like you don't know what to look for in a guy. You don't really know what it feels like to have the love, unconditional love from a man, you know? So it's just like, if you do happen to find it, it feels kind of foreign and you don't even necessarily trust it a lot of times. Nope. Because it's just like you haven't experienced that and you're trying to learn how to experience these things and figure that out from what you see other people doing or what you see on television. And television is not real life. Nope. Even the reality shows is not real life, nope. You know, that you're watching. So going back to the point as far as the whole women basically divorcing the men and basically marrying the government, what they mean by that is because it's incentivized for you to stay single when you get these certain programs for, for single moms. If you do have, let's say the dad is around, maybe he is in the kid's life, but you receive WIC, women and infants and children, welfare and things of that nature. You receive that, you receive a stipend. If you and the dad, your baby's father, get married, all of that goes away because they're just like, okay, well, now that the dad is there, we're not going to help you. He needs to figure it out. And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that you have two people there and you do now want to be able to maybe give the assistance to someone who's more needy, who might need it more because there's only one person as opposed to two who can work. I definitely understand that. But I don't think it should be like just an automatic cutoff, maybe a grace period or something to try to figure it out because you might have been married for a reason, financial wise or whatever the case may be. Maybe he didn't have his stuff together, you didn't have your stuff together or whatever. So it may take a minute basically for the woman or the guy to kind of figure that out. Excuse me, it's not even necessarily, well, married, yes, but I think even if they find out that they're living there, if they're living in the household, they cut you off. So it's just like, okay, well, I don't want to lose all my benefits. So no, you can't be here, and no, we can't get married because then they're going to cut me off and you ain't bringing in this kind of money, to be able to assist me. So I'm going to stay over here. So yeah, that's why they say marry the government, divorce the man to marry the government, because you can count on getting those benefits the 1st or 15th or whatever comes in the month or whatever, but you're not necessarily going to be able to depend on what may or may not come in from the child's father or, baby daddy or husband or whatever at the time. So if you guys made it this far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so that way you can let YouTube know that you appreciate what we're putting down. It's just a lot.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is we concentrated on building up women for like the last 20 years or so. And I'm not going to say that wasn't something that was necessary because I think there was a point at which women felt that they were less than, that they were not that they were not worthy. And I think that was something that needed to be addressed. There are still men nowadays that will put a woman down, that will put down if she's at home. Well, what are you doing? You ain't doing nothing. You don't need to be, all of that other stuff. There was a reaction to that. And I think that women did need to be raised up to an extent, but that they did it at the expense of men. And now they're at the point that they won't try to build men up at all.
Not the best idea.
And I think in our community especially, it seems very apparent to me that the men in our community need to be built up so that they can be the type of guy that if you do get with him and you do have a kid maybe out of wedlock, or even if you guys are married and you have a kid or something like, where he can actually shoulder the responsibility of having a family. A lot of men in our community don't know how to be men. A lot of it obviously because the dads are not there. Like if we don't fix the men and start investing into having the men understand the responsibility of being men, and not just understand the responsibility, but give them some idea of how to deal with it. They need mentorship. I know that there are guys on the internet who just be like, well, forget these guys. I ain't trying to help these little kids. They ain't my kids. I ain't trying to be no step baby daddy, step crash dummy and all this other stuff. But then they also are not necessarily trying to help the community in that way either. They're just like, I think that our culture within those communities is so toxic. It just needs to die off.
Ouch.
There's a little bit of merit to that, a smidge, but I don't think that's Christ-like, so I'm not even going to go there. I think that there needs to be a concerted effort to help these people. And one of the ways to help them is to help the men not just understand the responsibility, but have some idea of how to fix their situation, how to raise themselves and their families up. What does that look like? A lot of these guys need to know what it's like to go and try, do a job interview. And if that don't go right, don't go crazy. Just grab your resume and go to another one. Grab your resume and go to another one until you get that. Work there for 2 years. Now you have a little bit of work experience. Go to the next job. Or dare to dream. Life doesn't have to be drab, because a lot of guys just don't believe it's worth it, not because of the women, just because they think the government is always holding me down. And, they have this very negative view of life that sucks all of the possibility out of their heads. And if the guy already feels defeated, like a lot of the men in our community do, they can't hold anybody up because they don't want to stand up themselves.
That sucks.
The reason a lot of our guys are willing to crash out because they don't feel that they have anything to live for. And having kids doesn't do that. I personally believe that purpose and God are the things that are missing from that equation. But there also has to be a very practical side of this is what it looks like to implement these things of purpose. Purpose is the thing that covers you just working a job and suffering just for your family, because a lot of guys are nowadays are not going to buy into that. They need more. And it's understandable. Without purpose, you're aimless. Idle hands are the devil's playground, they say. So like that mindset, I work all week and then when I get home, I just sit there and stare at the TV and life is passing you by and you're not actually doing anything. There's nothing for you to move towards. You can ask my wife, bro, we can barely have a conversation nowadays without me bringing it back to the channel and what we have to do to make it better, to get it to the place that I need it to be so that it can support our family the way that I want it to support our family, because I'm trying to take my place as the proper head of the family and take certain responsibilities and ideas of things off of her head so that she can fully be in her purpose in God. So there's so many different things, but there's a hope there that keeps me going. And a lot of guys don't have that. But we do have to fix the fatherless home thing. So I pulled up some stats, some quick stuff. The United States has the highest rate of fatherless homes in the world, which is horrible compared to everybody else. I think our fatherless home rate is about twice every other country.
The United States stands over 3 times the world average of 7% of children raised by one parent. For reference, China's at 3, India's at 4, the world's at 7. We're at 23% in America.
Oh man. Whoa.
Approximately. So it's bad. Fatherless families are 4 times more likely to live in poverty than married couple families. Children from single parent families are twice as likely to suffer from mental health and behavioral problems as those living with married parents. Father absence during early childhood is associated with greater levels of depression in early adulthood. I went through that myself and I had 2 parents. I couldn't imagine what it would be like if I only had one. Children with an actively engaged father perform much better in school. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. Fatherless children are more likely to abuse drugs. Fatherless children are more likely to enter the juvenile justice system. That means they go into jail as kids. They didn't have it here, but in jail, they did a study and it was like 90% of the men in prison are from fatherless homes.
Wow. I'm not surprised.
I'm going to look up the exact stat and I'm going to try to put it here. But I remember it was like really high. It was like 80, 90%. Maybe not 90, but it was like 80%. It was really high. It's very important that we fix this issue. I think we need to start investing into the men in talking to us. Okay. We need to start investing in the men so that they can have hope again.
There's still hope.
Because if you give them hope, that'll make them work. And getting them jokers to work will change a lot in our community. And then, of course, teach them how to properly do our money. We like stuff. We like nice things. I'm a victim of it, too. We like too many daggone nice things. That's because we ain't never had nothing. And I think that we need to learn how money works so that we can just build our community up. I'm not trying to build a bunch of millionaires. I don't know if that's necessarily the answer, but I do think the answer is to get our men active in building positive, thriving communities. That I definitely think is going to be a game changer. And if we can do that, I think that we can just turn our whole situation around. And I don't expect nobody to do it but us. That's why I'm talking to us. Everybody else is doing better than us, so they can handle their own situation. You know what I'm saying? I think there are some stats that I think some of our Latino brethren, like as far as money is concerned, are not doing as well, but their stats of other things are still better. So we still are suffering in a very unique way. And I think it's something we can handle, to be honest. We gotta make the decision to do so.
And be willing to help. If you see your fellow brother or sister like struggling or just messing up, say something. I'm gonna need you to say something, baby. Don't just stand there and like just watch them basically ruin their lives and ruin the lives of their children or their future children, because it's like it's a cycle. If you don't stop the cycle, it will continue.
And somebody calling you out for doing something stupid ain't judgment.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, like
I know that a lot of people feel that they're going to do something stupid and like, you're judging me. Let me give you this verse. I'm going to give you this verse and I'm going to give you that verse. I know y'all hate it. It's called conviction, y'all. When somebody call you out when you're being stupid, you get convicted and you feel some kind of way. You're supposed to, but you still are supposed to be called out for it. But that's why we suffering and that's why we ain't gonna get no better, because don't nobody want to say nothing. Look, if ain't nobody gonna say nothing to you and you gonna continue being stupid, you deserve to drive into that wall.
Comment your thoughts below and let us know what you think.
All right, guys, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit that notification button. I need you to hit the subscribe button. I need you to hit all the buttons. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Down in the description, there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we could really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Peace.
Press the off button.